I'm Shannon with 16 News, and I'm here with the Private Instigators.
I'm Keith.
I'm Dominic.
Jeff.
All right, so how long have you guys been playing together as a band?
About 8 months, since July of last year.
Okay.
Correct.
So, what is up with your little guns and everything?
We play in some rough places.
Your neighborhood.
My neighborhood. I do live on the west side of Chicago.
Okay,
so
all right.
That's actually a pretty
Understandable.
valid statement, yeah.
You can't trust anybody, so you have to be prepared for anything. That includes concealing a firearm.
It's not concealed, it's visible.
When I put on the jacket, it's concealed.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
This is, yeah.
It's actually fake. Because we don't want police coming after us after a show.
Wait, it's supposed to be fake?
Oh, man.
Did you not get the memo?
I don't read.
Oh, all right. Okay.
I will get the pictures.
We sent him a memo that was made out of pictures, but apparently the, gun with the orange tip wasn't clear enough. I don't know.
Was there arrows pointing to the orange tip?
No, but there was a picture of me going like this with a real gun, so...
You better use the one with the orange tip.
Not this one.
It said keep out of reach of children, so he didn't give me one, so I got the real one, and now things are worse.
All right.
Yeah, anytime I forget the lyrics, I have to look very carefully over at him, make sure he didn't notice, because he's got a real gun all the time. It's no good. It's no good. No, it's great. It's great.
You know. So, you guys are from Chicago.
From Chicago?
Yes.
What's the farthest show you've played from Chicago?
Linwood? Was that it?
I guess.
That's just, it's a town right on the border of Indiana.
Okay, so
But we're planning a Midwest tour this June.
awesome.
Hopefully.
Including... No, not hopefully.
Okay.
I have confidence.
Confidence.
We
Yes.
will be doing...
We will be touring. Yeah.
We will be.
Yes.
All right.
That. I saw that.
So, how would you describe your type of music?
I hear it. What I hear, and I'm sure I'm the only person that hears this, is okay, so back in the 50s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll and rhythm and blues were the same thing.
Yes.
And nowadays, when you hear a band that says, "Oh, our influences are from the 50s," it's rockabilly, right?
Yes.
It's like the white rock and roll. But we listen to a lot more of the black rock and roll. So Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, Little Richard.
Well, two of us
Okay.
do.
Little Richard.
Two of us do.
Right. Jeff doesn't like anything, but so we love that early R&B stuff, and so we take that, and then we also love the whole New York 70s punk rock scene.
Yeah.
So we kind of filter the 50s R&B through that, and it becomes louder and faster and a little dirtier. But
Well, in essence, the 70s punk rock was just sped up 50s rock and roll to me.
Yeah.
And actually, if you really want to trace it back, it's actually really sped up pop music as far as chord structure is concerned. So punk is really pop, with a few exceptions like the Dolls and Thunders and Iggy. But
Yeah.
but all that stuff. But as far as the category for the band, I don't know, because we don't fit into. We're not metal. We're not. We're not screamo. There's no one category to put us in.
we've been joking about calling it rhythm and brews, but
Nice.
that might work. That might stick.
Someone from California said WAP-core once.
Like doo-wop. Yeah.
There's
But
probably
I
a genre
wouldn't call it
out there,
anything
but
for
it's
it.
one of those super specific subgenres that it's gonna take forever to find, and you don't want to be confined into that tight little corner
Or
anyways.
punk and roll.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Punk doo-wop, all of those things we've been called much worse.
So, what's the biggest show you guys have played so far?
We opened for the Misfits at the House of Blues.
Here in Chicago.
Great.
And
That's awesome.
Yes, it
it was great.
Oh man, I was flipping out.
Full audience too.
Yeah, the place was nice and packed, and Jerry Only, he's this scary, gets on stage with these spikes in the chest, and the devil lock comes out, he's doing this thing, and you're just backing up from him, and then you get off stage and you're talking to him, he's like, "Hey, let me buy you some strings, okay? You guys are great. You're fantastic. I really love what you do." And he's just this really friendly, bubbly guy.
Oh, yeah. It's great. It's like, Dominic, Keith, he's a good guy. He didn't just sing, he brought something to the band, and that's what you needed. And you did good, kid. You did good. Call me. I'm going to be back in town for Thanksgiving. Have some turkey. We'll set a bonfire,
Yeah, really just, like, completely the opposite of that persona that everybody knows from him.
Very different and very warm and friendly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
he's a cool guy.
and Des Cadena from Black Flag is playing guitar for them now.
Oh, okay.
Which is also great.
Yeah.
And Des was sitting there telling us all these like crazy, just like serious rock and roll stories, like about the Keith Richards story. He's Des.
Yeah, Keith Richards.
Des and his brother were driving through New York, and his brother got out to go into some florist or something. I don't remember all the details. And Des is just sitting in the car, and this guy comes staggering down the street with two blondes, and Des is like looking at this wobbly figure, and he realizes it's Keith Richards, right? Like, it's Keith Richards, and so he gets out and talks to him, and Keith's like staring at the whatever's in the window there, whatever, right. So, and meanwhile, the two girls have like gone into the shop, and Des like just kind of looks at Keith for a second. Keith goes, "What am I supposed to do?" Well, all right.
You tell it a little bit differently than Des did.
He remembers the story.
Des told me that there's two girls walking from him about maybe 15 feet up, and he's walking behind him, and they're talking, kind of halfway arguing with each other, and Keith is talking to himself. And nobody's around him. This is at 7 o'clock in the morning, so apparently he was still up. And
it's not, I'm hungover.
Yes,
I'm still
up.
drunk.
And Des was in the front passenger seat of the van, and Keith is walking. Des is trying to see who it is, and then tells me Keith is walking, then he sees Des, and he looks at him, and looks at the girls, and he goes, just keeps walking, and it was just totally believable. And Des is a lot of fun to hang out with. He turned me on to Cheap Trick a little bit more and showed me this Jeff Beck Rock and Roll Party DVD. It's awesome. You wouldn't think that someone from Black Flag would listen to Glenn Miller, but he does.
That's awesome.
He's a total music head.
Oh yeah,
he's really fun to talk to him. Yeah.
So, what is happening in the future besides this tour you're talking about? What's happening in the future for you guys?
We're planning on going down to Nashville to record with D.A. Carcos from the Underdog Studios.
Okay.
He's finishing up a record right now with Jerry Gaskill from King's X.
Okay.
And I think he worked with John Corabi from The Scream. And so we're supposed to be heading down there next month to record an EP.
All right. Awesome.
Yes, and then possibly going back down to Atlanta to go mix and master it, and studios owned by the people that are in Collective Soul and some other bands, and it'll be a nice little road trip.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can all stand each other for that long.
That's going to be impossible. It's going to be really bad.
Just book about a lot of shows that way,
That was kind of the theory, It's not a bad idea.
You have that little Midwest tour going on, and then you just have to have, well, this isn't really our tour, but this is our tour down to the recording studio.
Right. There you go.
Working trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a business trip.
Exactly.
Precisely.
We can write all of this off. So, when we stop at the gas station to buy him, the burritos.
You mean a quart of oil?
That's what Jessa has to do when I go down to Texas, is make it so I can write everything I buy off on my taxes. I'm going down to Texas to go to South by So What to do interviews.
Nice.
South by So What?
Yeah.
No,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I've definitely got some friends who are playing there, but for the life of me, I can't think of which band it is. When you're in a band and you're still in a fairly local scene, you get to know all of the local bands.
Oh yeah.
When we were walking up here, there's my pals J.C. Brooks and the Uptown Sound. These guys are great, really nice guys, fantastic music, great live show. So you get to know all the people who are playing in all of the bands, and it gets confusing after a while. There's 70 groups, and Leonard, you're in We Killed the Lion, right? You have to think about it for a minute.
I'm from almost the same area. Elgin's not that far, but the suburbs have their own music scene.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of musicians from that local scene, and then the people I work with, 16 is based out of New Jersey too. So now I'm starting to know a whole bunch of musicians from the New Jersey scene that I've never actually met in person. And then just working for 16, I've been moving up into Wisconsin and into Chicago, and I'll be like, oh, well, you're in the music industry, you obviously know so-and-so, and they're like, no, and I'm like, oh, right, they're from the different
scene.
Different scene, like this branch of it, and oh, they're actually from over there, and you should know them, go check them out, and then I'm like, I can't remember what band they're in,
It can be a little rough. I've got one friend who has played in, I think, up to 5 bands at a time, and he's usually like, there's like 2 of them that are steady, and then like 3 that, this week he's in this group, and then next week he'll drop that group and go into a different one.
He's in the room, you don't have to talk from a third
No,
person.
not Jeff. Not Jeff. Jeff is only in 3 bands, right? 3?
That he discloses.
Yeah. No, I was actually thinking of my pal Nick, but yeah, it can get a little incestuous.
yes.
Yeah.
Alright, so what local bands influenced you guys?
Screeching Weasel.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
Yes.
I sold John Jughead a guitar once.
Nice.
I was very excited about it, and I didn't realize it was him until like 10 minutes later, and
So,
it was
like,
like,
you're like, okay,
oh wait a second,
and then you're like,
yeah,
Did that just really happen and I didn't think about it till now?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think you can say Chuck Berry was from here, even though the recording studio was here.
Yeah,
Yeah, not quite.
like it's like calling Muddy Waters local. You know, I mean, yeah, his important work was done in Chicago, but like, yeah, I don't. Let's see. There's a band called the Blisters that I really like. And
I like Moto, but I think they moved out of town.
I don't know them.
Masters of the Obvious. That's what it stands for.
Yeah. The Uptown Sound, who I just mentioned like 2 minutes ago, are by far my favorite local band other than us.
Okay.
Well, we're great. I really enjoy playing in this band. I like what we do. I should be that way. But no, like the Uptown Sound.
Okay.
Hell yeah! I go nuts about them. I think I caught their first show ever, not knowing it was their first show. Somebody had like sent me their MySpace page. That's how long ago it was. And
back when MySpace was still relevant.
viable, yeah. And they had this song called "Hold You Back," which is just like it just grabs you, And based on that one song, I said I'm gonna go see this band play, whatever their next show is, and it happened to be their first show. And then I saw every show that they played in Chicago for the first year. And it became one of those things where like, I got thanked on their first record, and I was all like,
Give him $5.
super excited about it. But
Well, that's like, we had been talking about our last night earlier. I think every single time they've played in Chicago, and like by Chicago I also mean a little bit up into Wisconsin, and like anywhere within a 3-hour radius actually, every time they've played within a 3-hour radius in the last 8 months I've been at, and then like a couple other shows, and they're like, we know you. Like we've
Shannon, right? Yeah.
It's not even that at this point, it's like, isn't this way too far from your house? Like
You two probably went to the same shows a few times and didn't even know it.
Probably. That wouldn't surprise me.
maybe. I go to a lot of shows.
Do you?
No.
When he has the time.
I play a lot of shows.
That's playing a lot of shows in some senses is more important,
Yeah.
to everybody in a band. I would hope. Like I would rather play a show than go see one.
Depends on who it is.
No. If I have to choose between us playing a show and going to see like Aerosmith or something, I would come to our show in a heartbeat.
See, I used to think like that, but I like going both ways now.
Dedication.
I love Aerosmith. I've seen them like 15 times or something, and even with like Steven on Drugs or whatever, like they put on an amazing show. Like if you haven't seen them,
He's off.
Oh, you have good. No, but like you've seen the footage where he's all high and he falls off the stage and breaks himself or whatever. But like barring those like 5 shows and that like run in the late 70s and early 80s when Joe Perry wasn't in the band, that like every time I've seen them, which was not in the late 70s and early 80s, they've just been a knockout. And I've got a stack of DVDs like a spindle of DVDs of old Aerosmith shows that my friend made me.
That's
and
awesome.
it took me months to get through it. It was fantastic.
But you see, there's a lot of acts I'd like to see that I was born too late to see.
Oh yeah.
And
I
there's
know
nothing
that
I want to
feeling.
see. Because the Cramps aren't going to be playing, the Ramones aren't going to be playing,
The Dolls.
Johnny Thunders won't
It's
be
not
playing.
the Dolls anymore. It's just David Johansen.
I caught Bo
and
Diddley
Sylvain.
though, on his last tour.
That's cool. I got to see Bo Diddley once. I was like 2. It was great. It's like the first concert I remember going to see. It was Bo Diddley and BB King at like Ravinia, and my parents took me, and like I was super excited because
That's awesome.
I didn't know what they were. Like I just knew we were going to a concert, right? And then like afterward, I was like, these guys are amazing. I really like this music, and and my parents like, oh, that's very nice.
Yay.
And, like note to self, keep him away from music.
And a
I
fine
went to
job they did,
Riot
too.
Fest this year, and as we're leaving Riot Fest, there's like this mom and dad, and they have a little kid, and he's like 4, and he's got a mohawk, and he's got this little leather jacket, and like my friend, the entire time we're walking back to the blue line, my friend sees him eyeing like his light up sword he bought. So like we're halfway back to the blue line, and my friend like walks up and gives it to the kid, and the dad's like, "What are you saying?" He's like, "Thanks, man," and then he proceeds to run up and like try stabbing his older sister with it.
Well, if you're given a sword, you're required to stab your older sister. Like if you have one.
I feel like that's
the
in the
rules.
rules.
I definitely would have stabbed
But,
one of my brothers. Not a question.
My friend was like
Again?
21, and he was like, "I've never wanted kids before, but now I see like that little 4-year-old," and he's like, "Not now, but someday I want to be a dad that's that cool that I'm taking my son to
The
Riot Fest."
Yeah. It's like this kid one day is gonna be like, well, the first concert I remember seeing, it was Iggy and the Stooges and Elvis Costello. It'd be a hell of a first concert. Shit.
Yeah,
Am I allowed to swear on this? Sorry.
you can. It's
Okay.
fine.
Fuck yeah, then. Great.
So, we've already talked about what type of music you are, but what makes you different from most other bands?
Me. That is so true.
Wow.
No, it's actually,
Wow.
in all seriousness, like, a lot of drummers are in like punk or R&B groups, like what we were saying earlier, we're basically
Yeah.
just punk and R&B. And a lot of drummers in those type of groups, it's very simple beats. It's just a backbeat. And Jeff plays the drums as if it's a lead instrument. And like, frankly, the two of us are the rhythm section and Jeff's the lead.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
really...
Well, I think another thing that makes us stand out is, I guess, maybe the chord structures we use in the songs are kind of ones that haven't been used in a while. And trying to keep it actually very simple is
So
actually...
it sounds way different because you're using a lot of things that haven't been
Yeah, it's...
brought out into the center for
Like
years.
major chords.
It's...
No, seriously, nobody uses major chords anymore. They've done a study, and like, I think it was something like 80% of songs now, or 90% of songs, are no major chords. It's power chords and minor chords.
Well, what we do is nothing new under the sun. It's just been dusted off.
Yeah,
It's
and-
just been brought back from the past.
yeah. That's actually like a perfect way of explaining it. Brought back from the past.
And played, I guess, with a little distortion, not social distortion, and
A lot of distortion, really. Yeah.
and played just a little bit faster, and that's what we get. And
Okay.
to me, we did it because no one else was doing it, and it's kind of just like the era I missed, and I wanted to do it. Kind of like the early punk stuff where they were playing all these 20-year-old songs because they didn't want to listen to disco, and they didn't want to.
It wasn't just disco. They didn't want to listen to like psychedelia. Like 15-minute drum solos followed by a 10-minute guitar solo.
So they're like, forget all of this. We're gonna do what we want and what we
Yeah.
missed and what we liked, and that's kind of in essence what I feel we're doing.
Yeah.
At least my point of view.
Okay, so are there any shout-outs you guys want to do?
Dan Brunk. Awesome guy.
Dan Brunk. That guy's fantastic. Guy's great.
Awesome guy. He's gonna help us with further development of the band, recording, and has actually stuck by us for the past year now. So
Okay.
awesome.
And I've got a friend named Tom DeGrow, who is Tom DeGrow and actually Troy Coslow. The two of them have been helping us on the business end
Okay.
of it, because we're musicians, so we don't know how to handle money, and they're
often
smart.
the case.
Yeah. So. In fact, Tom helped us get our budget together for the Kickstarter that we're going to be doing coming up in the next few weeks.
Okay,
So,
awesome.
Yep.
Alright, so I'm Shannon with 16 News, and I'm here with these guys.
Private Instigators, I'm Keith.
Dominic.
Alright,